Broncos country, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful game day tonight. We got the Broncos taking on the Chargers. I'll be giving my breakdown, preview keys to victory in the second part of this video, but I had to start it off, man, with something absolutely insane that I had a friend text me this morning, an article or a link from Trey Wingo, who took out an excerpt of an article from the New York Times talking about Jets owner Woody Johnson. There's a lot of crazy stuff in here, but there were some parts pertaining to the Broncos and Jerry Jeudy, which is just hilarious. So I want to give a shout out here to David Yukin saying, yeah, it's funny that a child's game will dictate how you hire a player. Man, I needed to get on here and comment about this. So yeah, y'all let me know your thoughts on this, but I needed to dive into this and this is just so absurd. It is so absurd. And I just needed to talk about it. This is crazy. So Trey Wingo tweets this out and says, well, this is the most New York Jets thing ever. According to this New York Times article, owner Woody Johnson nixed a trade for wide receiver Jerry Jeudy because his Madden rating was too low. And yeah, let's read this excerpt here. It says, a few weeks later, Joe Douglas, former GM, and his Broncos counterpart, George Paton, were deep in negotiations for a trade that would have sent Jerry Jeudy to the Jets and given future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers another potential playmaker. The Broncos felt the deal was near. Then, abruptly, it all fell apart. In Denver's executive offices, they couldn't believe the reason why. Joe Douglas told the Broncos that Johnson didn't want to make the trade because the owner felt Judy's player rating in Madden NFL, the popular video game, wasn't high enough, according to multiple leak sources. The Broncos ultimately traded the receiver to the Cleveland Browns. Last Sunday, Jeudy crossed the 1,000-yard receiving mark for the first time in his career. Coming into the season, yeah, the Jets had hopes of ending their 13-year playoff drought, but that's going to be extended to 14 years. But this is just absolute insanity, man. When you're paying people millions of dollars to make these decisions and you're saying, yeah, you know what, just forget about what you think, Joe Douglas, what the coaching staff thinks. What's his Madden rating? Insane. And if you're wondering what Jerry Jeudy's Madden rating was, I Googled it in Madden 24 for last year, and it was 81. He finished the 2023 season with a rating of 81, and that was too low for Woody Johnson to make a trade for Jerry Jeudy. Of course, Jerry Jeudy, this deal has been fantastic for him because it saved him from going to the New York Jets absolute dumpster fire. And yeah, as it's stated here, he's having a career year. The change of scenery and being there with Kevin Stefanski, I think, is a really good fit for him. And yeah, he torched our Broncos. But I do wonder if we were going to be able to get more than, I think it was, a 6th-round pick with the Cleveland Browns. They also ended up extending him. So yeah, the Browns traded a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick to the Broncos for Jeudy. And yeah, okay. So we got a couple picks for him. But yeah, this is absolute hilarity. And I really love to see like how incompetent some of these franchises are. And just, you never know. Again, there's perceived value of for somebody of what you think you might be able to get from them, but who knows, man, what some of these owners are able to do at absolute craziness. And on a side note, if you haven't seen this yet, it has been reported that there are rumblings that Garrett Wilson is going to request a trade this offseason out of New York. The Broncos definitely need to be in on that conversation. I would love for them to do that, but nonetheless, I mean, I just could not believe that you hire all these people in the front office and the owner's like, yeah, what does the Madden rating say? And yeah, we'll see what happens. I love that now people are starting to talk about Woody Johnson now that he's fired a lot of their staff. But let's go ahead and transition into guys. Oh, well, thank you so much, David. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I haven't been here the last couple days. It's been busy right now for Buffs, but had to get on here and just talk about the Broncos, my number one team. But yeah, hey, here's the thing, man. We gotta go ahead and take care of this game against the Chargers, get to those 10 wins. I also have a huge parlay that hits if the Broncos reach 10 wins. That's just me personally. But we got to clinch a playoff spot. Let's not, go into the playoffs without some serious momentum, right? Like, I don't want to backslide into the playoffs. Let's win this game. Let's win the next one, and let's win against Kansas City. No doubt about it. So let's take a look at the injury report right now, because that's something that I want to talk about with some of my keys to the game. Okay. This is interesting. Quentin, what's going on, man? Good to see you in here. Y'all be sure to smash that like, subscribe if you haven't yet. I think we're nearing 2,100 subs. So let's get to it. Short week, obviously, for both the Broncos and Chargers. And I do want to bring this up in case y'all have forgotten. The Chargers faced the Broncos coming off a bye week. And I think that had huge implications of why they were able to just kind of dominate us. I also think that Sean Payton was definitely looking past that game a little bit towards the Thursday night matchup in New Orleans. That's just me. The team just didn't come out ready. Chargers were fresh off of their bye week, and now we're still kind of fresh off our bye week. I mean, we had our game on Sunday in which we got a dominating victory, just blew them out in the fourth quarter, which was great to see. The Colts, that is. But yeah, I think that we're going to be the fresher team in this game, and the injury report reflects that. So John Franklin Myers, foot injury, but full participation yesterday. So we'll see him, along with DJ Jones, finger injury, full participant yesterday. Pat Surtain, full participant all week. Thank God he's okay with that ankle. And now after this game, he's going to have, the mini bye, some extra days to rest before that game. I think it's in Cincinnati against the Bengals. Riley Moss, great to see that he's at least limited right now. I've always expected him to be back for that Bengals game. That kind of seems what the trajectory is and was. Sounds like that's the same. He's ruled out that knee injury. Now, this one kind of sucks, man. Jaleel McLaughlin, quad injury. He is ruled out. So was a limited participant on Tuesday, and I guess it just wasn't where they wanted come Wednesday. He didn't even participate yesterday. He's out. So this is this is substantial news. This means we're down to, in terms of the running backs that have been on the active roster lately, or for game day, it's going to be Jaleel McLaughlin, or not Jaleel McLaughlin, Javonte Williams, and Audric Estime. I really do think that this finally could be the game that Audric Estime breaks out. We have to know what we have in him, guys, because we got 7 picks right now in the NFL draft. We have rounds 1 through 4. We don't have a 5th round pick. We have 3 6th round picks and no 7th. So we do have 7 picks, which is great, but running back has been such an issue this year to where I feel like I would be okay with the Broncos right now taking 2 running backs. Yeah, I would. I know that sounds probably a little crazy. I can't remember the last time the Broncos have done that, but that's how down bad I feel like and lacks explosion and versatility right now this running back room is. I think it's the worst right now in the NFL. But we have to know if we have anything with Audric Estime. We used a 5th round pick on him this year. I was hoping that we would really see him come along by now, but we just haven't seen him get the run. Does he get more opportunity this week with Jaleel McLaughlin being out tonight? I sure hope so, because we got to know what we got. Can this guy be, even if he's not a starting running back, can he be a solid guy that we can rely on to spell whoever our top running back is next year? Similar to Latavius Murray spelling Alvin Kamara all those years in New Orleans, right? that's kind of how I see his role if, he's reaching near his potential. And right now, we just really haven't been able to see it. So I want to see him get work. I also wonder if we're going to see Blake Watson get utilized for really the first time this year. I thought he had a really impressive preseason. Of course, we gave him just as much guaranteed money as Audric Estime got, but in undrafted free agency. I'm a guy who was a wide receiver at Old Dominion before transitioning to running back at Memphis his last year. I want to see what he can do. But nonetheless, let's continue to move forward on this injury report. The Chargers are really banged up, man. We are getting some lucky breaks here with Will Disley being out with the shoulder injury. Looks like Christian Fulton's going to play. Cam Hart, rookie cornerback from Notre Dame, I believe. He's out with a concussion. So that's another break. Now, Justin Herbert, man, he's been taking some hits. He's got an ankle injury. He's going to play, of course. Hayden Hurst, I think we will see him suit up along with Zion Johnson. And another cornerback, Elijah Molden, with a knee injury, out. Atito Ogbania, defensive tackle, pelvis injury. The dude just fall on his butt wrong. Limited participant, questionable. I would say that probably means no. We'll have to see. Denzel Perriman, linebacker, groin injury, but he should be good to go being a full participant yesterday. But they are banged up. I believe J.K. Dobbins is still out, which is going to be helpful because we had such a hard time bringing him down last game. And yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to in this game. Which team is going to run the ball more successfully? I don't want to see us put the pressure of the offense on Bo Nix in this game. I know that Chargers defense is really banged up. The Bucs destroyed them on Sunday, and they're going to be chomping at the bit to come back and really, kind of atone for that. But I don't know, guys. Like, Jim Harbaugh coaches these guys up, and it's not very often that a Jim Harbaugh coach team has like a serious slide. And I think we're going to get a really good effort from them. They know us really well. We are divisional opponents. We'll have to see, how we come out the gate when it comes to running the football. But I know it's a temptation that Sean Payton's going to have. When you got a quarterback that you believe in, you're going to want to sling it around. But it is just so important for us in this game to win the time of possession, to continue to keep Justin Herbert and that offense off the field, to keep our defense fresh. And again, it's not ideal to put the pressure of the offense moving on a rookie quarterback, regardless of how impressive Bo Nix has been this year. We got to get the run game going. So I want to show you guys here. We'll get to some of the total defense and stuff like that. I always find this stuff really interesting to take a look at just from like a surface level perspective. So let's start with the defense here, and then I'll get to some of your comments. Again, really appreciate y'all hopping in here. Smash that like as I pull this up. So right now, Denver, I mean, we're a top 10 defense in terms of yards per game. We're still averaging under 20 points per game, which is really, really great. 17.6 right now. Still, giving up under 100 yards rushing, 98.6, 217 in the past. Like we've done, our defense is totally elite. And the fact that they've been able to score, guys, this is pretty much 2 years in a row now where I think that we can say, like, this is just part of the identity of the team's defense, is that they generate turnovers and they generate scores. Like, during our 5-6 game winning streak last year, that's what our defense was doing. And they're doing it again this year. And I know that's not really something that you can count on, like the defense scoring from year to year, but this truly is an aggressive defense that makes big plays. And the fact that we're seeing this 2 seasons in a row under Vance Joseph, I think, is just a testament to continuity, a testament to patience and development with the guys that we've had step up due to injury. But you see the Chargers here, they're still averaging. I mean, they're giving up only 17.6 points per game. This is with giving up 40 to the Buccaneers last week. giving up 125 on the ground, 211 through the air, 337 yards total on defense. This is still a really good defense, even though they're missing a handful of guys in the secondary. This isn't a defense that I feel like we should be, at least I'm not thinking we go out and put 30 points on the board, but who knows? Usually with what I expect guys on these previews, it's like the game goes exactly opposite. So, I mean, who knows? Now, when it comes to the offense, you can see the Broncos here. We actually have a better, statistically, a better offense than the Chargers, as we did coming into the first matchup, y'all. 311 yards per game, 202 through the air, 108 on the ground, 24 points per game as a team. You see the LA Chargers, they're at 302 yards per game, 196 through the air, 106 on the ground, 21 points per game. But we saw that none of that really mattered with this game the first time. The Chargers were by far the more physical team. They were by far the more confident team. They made less mistakes. They were making their open field tackles, and we weren't doing any of that. I think that that game against the Chargers was one of our worst performances defensively. What's kind of weird is that, I mean, you saw it against the Indianapolis Colts, where in that first half especially, and then in that third quarter with the Jonathan Taylor run, the tackling was atrocious. It was bad. You hope that now coming off the bye week, having been through that game against Indianapolis where things just completely clicked once the fourth quarter hit, that we can build off of that momentum and go and get this win. But by no means do I think that this is going to be an easy game for the Broncos. I don't think it's going to be one in which this is a landslide in either way, because I'm expecting a better performance from the Broncos than what we saw, I think, like week 5, week 6 or whatnot. But yeah, I think we got like guys like Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal, Gus Edwards. These guys are all averaging Gus Edwards, 3.4 yards per carry, Vidal, 3.2, Haskins, 2 yards per carry. So we need to stop the run. J.K. Dobbins, I believe he's on injured reserve. So it's a shame that that man can't stay healthy, because whenever he's healthy, man, I feel like he tears it up. Now, this is going to be a key matchup for the Broncos on offense right here. And that is Ladd McConkey. Who is going to guard him? Now, I was a little bit more worried about what we were going to do with Will Disley also on the field, because he's really come on for the Chargers this year, but he's out this game. So I want to see Pat Surtain put on Ladd McConkey. Give him a welcome rookie to the NFL type of game. And then we can put the rest of our guys, Chris Abrams-Drain or Jaquan McMillan, Damari Mathis. Will Levi Wallace be active for this game? I don't know, but I feel better about, those guys guarding guys like Josh Palmer, Simi Fehoko. The one other question that I do have is on Quentin Johnston. He's come along this year, still not the best catcher downfield, like still body catches and kind of all that. But they've started to change kind of how they utilize him, just getting him the ball quickly, in space and allowing him to make plays. Maybe, I guess Pat Surtain would also be the most ideal player to put on him as well. But I almost kind of want to take my chances with somebody that I feel like could still play very good coverage on him, because he's not the quickest guy out there. Of course, I feel like this would be a really nice matchup for Riley Moss, but he's not there. Let me know in the comments, who do you want on Quentin Johnston? Who do you want on Ladd McConkey? I think me personally, I'd rather have Pat Surtain take Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston taken by Chris Abrams-Drain or just the rest of the corners. I'll take my chances, I think, with Quentin Johnston in most of those situations, but we'll have to see. He could very well make me eat my crow. I think the one exception to these matchups is in the red zone. I want Pat Surtain on Quentin Johnston. So lastly, let me go ahead and just talk about some of the players that I really want to step up and see have a big game here. We'll start here on the offense. Of course, Bo Nix. Audric Estime, all that is a given. It's been a few games since we've seen Devon Vele really have a substantial role right now. Was pretty quiet against the Colts. I think that this is a matchup in which, especially with them missing cornerbacks, this is going to be a matchup in which we should be able to exploit that with our big-bodied receivers, Cortland Sutton, Devon Vele. I really love the fact that we're continuing to involve Marvin Mims. He was one of my MVPs for the game against the Colts, playing his most confident football out there. He's been dynamic on returns. He's been essential for gaining first downs on offense, and I would love for us to continue to utilize him more. Now that I'm talking about that, I do wonder if we will see him involved in the run game a little bit more in this game with Jaleel McLaughlin out. If there is somebody that has been on the field that definitely has earned the trust of Sean Payton right now this year, that's kind of built in that same mold, I think it could be Marvin Mims, honestly. We haven't seen Blake Watson on the field, and Marvin Mims has done a great job, man, of clawing his way out of the doghouse into being an integral part of this offense. So maybe we might see more of the run game with him tonight, involved in that. So those are my keys to victory, or the players that I have for us to watch right now. Obviously, you want our pass rush to really get after it and make Justin Herbert's life just absolute hell, and hopefully we can do that. So but this is going to be a tough game, guys. I'm very much looking forward to it, but I mean, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Chargers are they're a much better team than the Indianapolis Colts or the Las Vegas Raiders, for instance. We have to play better football than how we've been playing over the last couple of weeks if we're going to beat this team, even if they are banged up. Like, they're a well-coached football team. They're disciplined, and you know that they're going to know what to do against us. Jim Harbaugh is a fantastic coach. And in the AFC West, you don't get any gimme matchups with the fantastic coaching that's in here with Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton. The only gimme that you got right now is Antonio Pierce with the Raiders. So I'll get to a few of your comments, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. This really does mean a lot to have you guys in here. Yeah, Quentin, I'm glad PS2 and our defensive tackles will be in there. Yeah, so we should have all the guys ready to stop the run, hopefully, better than what we were doing last time against the Chargers, where I think they ran for like over 200 yards against us. Justin Herbert passed for like 300 yards. It was by far his best game passing. It was such a weird game, man. David, what do you think about our backup cornerbacks? I thought that they played well. I was so impressed with Chris Abrams-Draine. Not only did he step up, but he stepped up in clutch moments, on that big touchdown throw to Alec Pierce. He broke that up. That was like a 50-yard bomb from Anthony Richardson. And then, on that 4th and 6, kind of I guess that was kind of the Colts' last chance, on that last drive. Yeah, he breaks that one up, I think, against Michael Pittman. I've been really impressed with Chris Abrams-Draine. We got, ideally, you want to have corners that are 6 foot and above, right? But I think both Jaquan McMillan and Chris Abrams-Draine, they're 5'11", and I would say that they play a little bit better than their size. And that's why it's like I wouldn't be too upset if we see those guys mainly on Quentin Johnston, because I think that they can keep up with his lack of, bursty quickness, right? It's more kind of straight line speed. We'll have to see. But yeah, with Chris Abrams-Draine looking good, we don't need to rush Riley Moss into this matchup. Let's make sure he's good to go against an explosive passing attack from the Cincinnati Bengals with, the weapons. They got like 3-4 wide receivers deep. And some great tight ends as well that are playing really well. Kodiak, what's going on, man? Y'all be sure to go subscribe to Kodiak. He does a phenomenal job, really good content. Low-key, I don't believe the Jerry Jeudy story. Okay, I would file this under almost definitely didn't happen, but would not surprise me in the least if it did. Diana Rossini. Rossini is an enormous troll. Oh, this is a fantastic point. I think that there's a lot of bad blood with people that have been involved with the New York Jets over the years, whether they're in media or have been relieved from the coaching staff or front office this year, right? So, yeah, maybe there's some exaggeration put on this story. I think that that definitely could be the case. But looking at this face value, give me Jerry Jones over Woody Johnson. I know that that's terrible, but that's how I feel, man. That's how I feel right now with Woody Johnson. Give me Jerry Jones. Quentin Caldwell saying, I stand on getting 2 running backs and I want a first round RB. Yeah, I'm not picky. I obviously would love Ashton Genty. I think that he's the most dynamic back in the class, but with the more realistic options, I really like Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Really love him. The dude from North Carolina, I've watched a little bit. Omarion Hampton. It definitely does remind me of Javonte Williams. You can tell like Mac Brown kind of had a type of running back that he would bring in, but I don't think Omarion Hampton has that speed that Genty, that Caleb Johnson have. And I would love if maybe we wait a little bit later. I know Quinshawn Judkins, has a lot of hype and was the main running back at Ohio State, and they made his his video game character like super, dynamic and speedy, and his juke moves and spin moves were insane. But Travion Henderson is more of that player in real life, and I know he's had some injury, but in terms of like just raw explosiveness, you get the ball in his hand and he can take it to the house every single time. I like Travion Henderson more in that role or with that expectation than I do Quinshawn Judkins. So if we get him from Ohio State, Henderson, I would like that. But a lot of great running backs to go after. I mean, if we draft Judkins, I'm not going to be complaining. Cameron Scadaboo, I love. Kodiak's a fan of him as well. DJ Giddens, Devin Neal. Not sure about Devin Neal, like how involved he's been in the passing game, but Giddens, RJ Harvey. There's so many guys this year that, again, I'm for lack of a better term, this is rather crass, but I'm a total slut for draft picks. So I would love for us to have like 8 or 9 draft picks in this draft. Right now we have 7. And if we got more, then we could totally get another running back while making sure that we're getting the pipeline ready in depth at all the other positions of need as well. If Estime goes 15 for 32 tonight, then that says we need to rehaul the entire room in the offseason. Yeah. And again, that's why I always like the idea of drafting a running back day 3 pretty much every year, just seeing if you can strike lightning in a bottle, so to speak. And, sometimes that's not going to happen. There have been plenty of day 3 running backs that people have been excited about over the life of the NFL to where it just hasn't worked out. Yeah, but if Estime doesn't perform down the stretch of this season, I'm sick of not replacing a guy because of quote unquote potential. Now that has gotten me in trouble in the past. I would have moved on from Marvin Mims already. I would have moved on from Justin Sternad already. Some of these guys have developed into good players over the years, but I feel like running back is one of those positions where you can tell from pretty early on if you got it or you don't, right? And yeah, if it's a pick that doesn't work out, that's okay. I really want it to be, but we'll have to see. This is a class to where we can't ignore that position. But yeah, let's see Blake Watson take one to the house, man. I really love that. David Yukin says, my opinion is our running back isn't even on the roster yet. Do we just turn over the whole room? Right now, I'm not opposed to that, and hopefully, I'm jinxing the team in the right way to where they go out and have a great day running the ball. I think that would be great. Kodiak thinks we win this game very ugly. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's normally how these Charger games kind of go, right? I hate that Jim Harbaugh's in this division, man. I hate it. Williams is pretty much the only running back that will not be here next year. Yeah, under contract. Well, I believe Jaleel McLaughlin is also he might be a restricted free agent. I forget how it goes with undrafted guys, but you're under contract for 2 seasons. So he could be moved on from, as an undrafted guy as well. So Audric Estime might be the only dude that's uh, on a contract for next year. But with day 3 picks, I believe that their guaranteed money is all in that signing bonus. So I I don't know if he would have any guaranteed money left, uh, on that deal. I need to look into that. Don't take that as gospel. Yeah, we can't go 3 and out to start the game. Let's get out to a hot start on offense. How about that? Did anyone get elevated for the game day roster? I'm sure that's going to probably be announced probably around 4 or 5 tonight. We'll have to see. Yeah, the Chargers offense has been anemic ever since Dobbins went down. It's pretty impressive, man, to see his bounce back after that insane ACL tear plus more, and then the Achilles tear, and then he's still coming out playing like this. It's kind of mind blowing. Um, but hey, like in the world of a running back, I mean, you see how this goes. Is it just like the smash mouth style in which the Chargers and Niners play with, where man, their running backs, they're just always getting hurt because of the amount of punishment that they put them through. I don't know, but man, I love what the Niners did, using a day 3 pick on Garendo this past year, even though they got CMC, they got Jordan Mason, but all those guys are injured now, which is crazy. But I love that idea of just, hey, make sure you got a pick to draft a running back every year. You can never have too many guys. And as you see with some really good teams, once they go down, you need a guy to step up. The Niners, they probably thought they had enough guys to do it this year, as I did. What do you know? Nothing. Maybe they need to change up the training staff. David saying when PS2 is one-on-one with a good wide receiver, they get shut down. Yeah. So that's why I say put him on Ladd McConkey, because Ladd McConkey is better than Quentin Johnston, in my opinion. And hopefully I don't eat crow on that. And Bo's going to bounce back, man. He enjoyed the bye week. He just got laxed. I think that, yeah, and again, like, you can't throw those balls in which he just telegraphed them. I will give the Colts a lot of credit, because I think some of those interceptions that he threw, like how they were playing those zone coverages, kind of did throw him off a little bit, right? And yeah, again, I don't care if Cortland Sutton wasn't running the route at the right depth or whatever. All that's going to get worked out. But some of them, man, I would love Sean Payton to just understand kind of like how the game is going, to run a 3rd and 1 play action, throw the ball 20 yards down the field, and it's picked off like right on the edge of field goal territory. I hated that. But then again, man, our run game gives us, no confidence. Kodiak might have to have Jones shadow towards Quentin Johnston, since he's the only one that isn't a size mismatch in our secondary. That's a wonderful point. Similar to what we've seen the Broncos do with some of the tight ends. For instance, Brock Bowers in our last matchup against the Raiders kind of had PS2, Brandon Jones, playing some joint coverage on him. Maybe we treat QJ more so like a big tight end or a big slot and play it more like that. Yeah, Quentin Caldwell. I love having multiple draft picks. I love seeing drafted players develop. Yeah, that's one of the things I love the most about the NFL too, is that you get, especially now with college being like AAU every year, rosters flip over so much. I like with the NFL, which is really neat, is that, hey, at least with a handful of the draft picks, you at least get, 3-4 years with those guys at least. And then you see them extended if they're good. I love that. Is Bidet on IR? He still is. Excuse me. I think they need to be making a decision on him soon. That might come this week on whether they need to reactivate him or not. At this point, man, I've been anti reactivating him, but truly, man, if he's ready to go, our run game has been so terrible that I say, yeah, like, let's give him another shot. Victory lap. What's going on, man? Let's go. Let's go get this victory. Let's go get 10 wins for the first time since 2015, baby. Isn't it a great time to be a Broncos fan? This is our first year with Sean Payton, George Payton finally having a full slew of draft picks. That has me bricked up. That's right, man. Smash that like if you're bricked up about it. Yeah, 7 draft picks. And again, 3 6-round picks. So you can kind of move around there a little bit. I wonder if we'll get a compensatory, but like I doubt it with the guys we'll re-sign, right? So yeah, and the amount of money we'll spend in free agency, I doubt we get it. But I do wonder, like, again, I love the idea of where we're at right now. If Tyler Warren, if Burden, if Egbuka and Loveland, if those guys aren't available at tight end and wide receiver by the time we pick, I would love for us to move back a little bit in the first round and accumulate another pick or two. That would be very, very nice. And honestly, maybe even draft somebody like Walter Nolan who can come in there and succeed DJ Jones here in a year or two. We got to re-sign DJ Jones. He's the best nose tackle that's going to hit the market right now as it looks like. So we got to keep him. Maybe it's like a 1 or 2 year deal, something like that. Maybe it's longer, but you know how all these things are structured, essentially like a 1 or 2 year deal. And yeah, but draft somebody like Walter Nolan to kind of be that next guy. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, let's re-sign the guys that have continued to perform. And I don't want us to create any unnecessary holes on this roster because we're trying to pinch pennies. We're finally, in the situation and to where we don't have to pinch pennies. With this Garrett Bowles contract, we still got $60 million to spend in free agency. That's insane. That's with the Russell Wilson $30 million this next year. Yeah, Jim's a really great coach, man. He really is. Barkley and Derrick Henry went from a bad team to a good team, and look at the production change. Broncos are not a bad team for where the real issue, Broncos are not a bad team for where is the real issue. Is it really running back? Douglas, this is a good question. I'm not a film professional. I love looking at it, breaking it down, checking it out with you guys, when I do those film rooms, but by no means do I have coaching experience or anything like that. But I do think it's more the vision of some of these running backs. And I think we do lack some explosion and just some genuine playmaking from the running back room. Like Jaleel McLaughlin can make a guy miss with his straight line speed. He can juke a guy every now and then, but he's not a guy that, I don't know. To me, he's kind of like a Boston Scott type of player. And I think we can get a better Boston Scott. Like we can get a better running back than Boston Scott. That's kind of how I see him. And Jaleel McLaughlin's or Javonte Williams' vision is just so bad. Like even I can see the holes that are opening up on these run plays. And so often he's going in the wrong direction or he's not having patience to, see that hole develop, not trusting his blockers. And that was an issue with him coming out of UNC. But the fact was that he was still so explosive, running through so many guys. His yards after contact was like through the roof in terms of average per carry. But now that he's lost that, you don't really have the luxury to overlook maybe the lack of vision. Same thing with AJ Dillon. That's kind of been his whole thing too, is that he's got amazing looking quads and he's super strong, right? But he's, blind when it comes to finding the hole. Pause. Do you think we keep our defense together next season? Absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully we extend Nick Bonito early now that we can afford it, because it would be nice to have him signed to a long-term extension to where that's not conflicting or it's not as large of a cap hit when ideally we look to extend Bo Nix. Yeah. Yeah, bricked up, man. Yeah, shout out to Altitude Adjustment with Let's Talk Broncos. Those guys are fantastic. Yeah, I agree signing DJ Jones and still draft a defensive interior lineman. Yeah, and John Franklin Myers, he'll be under contract next year, but then after that, we'll need another 3-4 end. You'll want another 3-4 end to back up Zach Allen as well. And of course, we got Malcolm Roche and a few other guys I think we feel good about. Jordan Jackson has played a lot this year. Wazarike hasn't been active much, but maybe we can see him come along this year, next year. But yeah, like defensive line and interior offensive line is something that I still think should be hit on in the draft this year. And offensive tackle, maybe. Like, I'm feeling good about Palczewski taking over for McGlinchey if that needs to happen at some point, but not really sure. It's great that we got Garrett Bowles, but it would be nice to have a left tackle that we develop for the future. Is that guy Frank Crum? Is it the Crum daddy? I sure hope so, but we don't really know. We haven't seen him play. We'll see how he develops, and I think if the Broncos don't take an offensive tackle for like the 10th year straight in the draft, it's probably a good sign that they feel good with the undrafted guys that they've brought in over the last couple of years. Palczewski, Frank Crum. So we'll have to see. The one other thing about the defense, re-sign Cody Barton. We could also draft his brother in, one of the mid-round, with one of the mid-round picks out of Utah, Lander Barton. That would be kind of cool, like having brothers on the team again. We've done that a time or two. I think that's really cool. There's a linebacker from Iowa that I think would be available later that I think would be really, really good. But I think right now, you re-sign Cody Barton, you re-sign Justin Strnad. Both of these guys have been fantastic. And I think you cut Alex Singleton, sadly. That saves you another $7+ million. So you cut him too. Yeah, we got like $60 to $70 million of cap space to play with this offseason. It's going to be really nice. I think with the depth that we've, for so long have wanted to see the Broncos have, I think we've done a pretty good job with it in terms of like finding guys on the Moneyball budget to do it. But I think that, hey, we could get ourselves like a legitimate extra linebacker in here or extra offensive lineman. I think that would be really, really nice. Do we look to upgrade center, even though that's a little bit of a luxury right now? We'll see. But there are no good running backs outside of Aaron Jones to go after. And I imagine Aaron Jones is going to return to Minnesota because they got like 12 wins right now. Why would you leave that situation? He's playing great. Now, if the Vikings are dumb enough to let him go, you definitely make an offer for him. Why not? Even if it's just a 1-year deal, we can afford to overpay him. But I think that would be cool. Aaron Jones is a great running back, and he's got light tread on the tires for his age because of how often he's been in committees. So I would love that. By the way, the Vikings are crazy if they don't re-sign Sam Darnold. They're crazy. I know that J.J. McCarthy is that high potential guy, but at the end of the day, weren't you just hoping to see J.J. McCarthy develop into a guy that's playing football at the level Sam Darnold is right now? Don't take that for granted. Do not. I hope that he stays with the Vikings. I've loved to see him doing what he's doing this year. The defense ain't broke. Don't fix it. And this is an interesting point, Douglas Wall. Was the run production better when Forsyth was in compared to Luke Wattenberg? And this is something that I've seen brought up. And maybe, to your point earlier, is it really the running back? Maybe the center play has something to do with it as well. I think that it definitely could be both things. PFF, incredibly flawed, obviously, but I do like to take a look at it just for a frame of reference. But let's go ahead and just look right now and see kind of how both of the centers have played when they've been able to get in there. I think that would be really fun. Okay. I love how he's just like cheesing in this. Okay, let's just get to the run blocking, man. So overall grade of 53.3. I wish I could like split screen this somehow, but I can't. We'll have to go back and forth with Forsyth. And I will say, I think I do like how Forsyth snaps the ball better. Okay. Feel like Luke Wattenberg, he kind of gives Bo Nix a snap that kind of floats a little bit. Like it doesn't get to him with the velocity that I felt like Alex Forsyth snaps the ball with. And that's just been something that I've noticed, like real nitpicky. Maybe you guys tell me if you think I'm crazy on that, but I haven't been too, impressed with Luke Wattenberg's snaps. Like, just haven't liked it. But anyways, you can see here overall, I mean, much better run grade, 68.4 on the year. And I mean, he had some better matchups, right? New Orleans, Carolina, like those teams kind of, blow. And Luke Wattenberg, but at the end of the day, if you're just taking this stuff at face value, it's still the NFL. You're still going up against the guys in the NFL every single week, no matter who's on the field. And that's why, again, you never apologize for any victory in the NFL, no matter how bad a certain team is, man. Like it's still the NFL. Let me look up Denver rushing totals. Let's see when our highs were. But yeah, it definitely looks like Forsyth has graded out much better. Let me see here. Just trying to find like, okay, let's go down here. So our best rushing games this year, New Orleans, we ran for 225 yards. Baltimore Ravens, we ran for 122. I feel like a lot of that was Bo. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Jets, we ran a lot, obviously, in that game. Tampa Bay, I mean, we ran all over them. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can find reasons for, the opponents that we were facing, maybe on why we had better rushing yards against those teams. Because I remember Tampa Bay had their defensive lineman out, like Vita Vea was out. But actually, I don't think the New York Jets were missing anybody important on that run defense, on that run defensive line. Granted, they got rid of some guys this year. I think that really bit them in the butt, like John Franklin Myers. But I think that there's some truth to that, Douglas. I think that you bring up an interesting question here. I mean, when you, yeah, again, I'm not like an offensive line guru, but I definitely feel like there is more to be getting from our center play. I wish we could combine Forsyth and Luke Wattenberg into the same dude, because I think Wattenberg has been much better in the pass blocking than Forsyth. 58.7 for Alex Forsyth. We can get here the pass blocking here. Yeah, 79.7. Luke Wattenberg has given up 1 sack. Alex Forsyth has given up 2 sacks on about half of the snaps, more than half the snaps of Luke Wattenberg. So it's like they have. It's so funny, man, because coming into the season, I thought that Luke Wattenberg would have been the better run blocker and Forsyth was going to be the better pass blocker, but it's been the opposite. So I know you never want to switch around the centers too much, but I think with the unique case here, Bo's played with both of them this year. And of course, he already has a rapport built with Alex Forsyth from playing at Oregon. So I wouldn't mind still seeing that lineup switch a bit. Do we get a center in the draft or the second year will help him? I haven't looked too much into how the center positions looking this year in the draft at all yet. I haven't. We'll have to see. Um, but yeah, I've mainly been looking at guard because obviously we got Quinn Miners here, but we don't really have a guy like Palczewski that we got on the inside right now that, hey, if we're wanting to move on from Ben Powers here in a year or two, are we ready to do that with somebody already on the roster? I don't think we got anybody that's ready on the roster. Maybe Nick Gargiulo will end up being a hit, but I'm not going to take anything for a seventh round pick who didn't make the active roster, who has been, on the practice squad the whole year. So I'm not really sure what to make of that, but yeah, I'll be getting more into that. My favorite time of the year is like around this draft stuff. So that's like when I started coming out with videos last year. Of course, it was really fun looking into all the quarterbacks, but now, I mean, we really have the luxury of looking into every other position outside of quarterback, and maybe we take a quarterback late if we get extra picks, but I still don't like that. Bring back Zach Wilson. That's what I want to see happen. Yeah, and again, like, do we still run for over 200 yards if Luke Wattenberg is starting at center over Alex Forsythe? We very well could have. I mean, I don't really know, but right now, Douglas, yeah, like, you could even watch the offensive line, and it's very clear. I mean, center is it's the weak link on this offensive line right now. It's still very good offensive line. Like, I don't think we have bad center play, but it's not, great either, right? It's just kind of there. Any free agent centers this season? There are a couple on the Colts, but yeah, when I was looking at the names, there wasn't anything that really popped out to me. There's some younger guys. I'm trying to remember their names. I can't right now, but I imagine they get re-signed by their current teams. Like, you normally don't have centers hit free agency. Lloyd Cushenberry, I think we would have kept him if we didn't have $90 million of dead cap to eat with Russell Wilson, or $80 million to eat in dead cap with Russell Wilson over 2 years. I think you would have seen us extend him. That's just me. I know he wasn't like the perfect scheme fit, I guess, for what Sean Payton wants to do, but he's still a great center. No doubt about it. And David, yeah, Vegas was so wrong about our Broncos. Yeah, I put some serious money, man, on a parlay before the beginning of the year. It was on the Buffs over 5.5 wins, and over on the Broncos 9.5 wins. So I think that was like plus 18,000 odds. So you can do the math on that, or not plus 18,000. Maybe it was like, I'm trying to think. Maybe it was like plus 6,000 odds or something like that. Yeah, or like 4. I don't know. Anyways, I put a few $100s on that thing, and if the Broncos get 10 wins, I win $16,000. So, like, I'm hoping to God that that bet hits. I just thought that, hey, if I can see both of my teams have a 2-win improvement this year, like, that's all. That's all it'll take. Vegas was totally underestimating our team, how our defense was playing. And again, we didn't really lose much over the offseason. Like, yes, we did lose Lloyd Cushenberry and we did lose Justin Simmons, but those aren't premier positions, like cornerstone positions that you need to be good at. Colin Cowherd always talks about this with Sean Payton and the Broncos this year. And, he's a big supporter of what we got going on, but he's like, you got the left tackle, you got the edge rusher, you got the corner, and you got a number 1 wide receiver. We might push back on that in Broncos country, but Sean Payton's a national media guy. Cortland Sutton's having a career year right now, so it's like, I get it. And you got Cortland Sutton, so you got all the important positions down. So why can't we win 2 more games? Yeah, my official prediction coming out, David, was for us to go 9-8. So we've already reached that, which is great. And I just thought, well, I'll put a few few bucks on the Broncos even exceeding that, just because the payoff was so huge. So hopefully the Broncos can get that 10th win, and yeah, like that would just be really neat. All right, guys. Well, unless you got any more questions, thanks for tuning in to this kind of. Again, I owed y'all a long time, since it's been since Monday since I've been on here talking Broncos. I apologize for that, but I promise I will be back getting into more of a solid routine here. And this is going to be a great time, man, to talk Broncos. I cannot wait to see, how we lock up this playoff berth, which I think we're all feeling great about. I'm going to be live tonight back with Zach Seegers from Let's Talk Broncos post game. So please, y'all tune into that to get our thoughts. Hopefully I can put on the Broncos foam head like Shannon Sharp, and we'll see how it all goes. So thanks again, guys. David, Douglas, Quentin, Kodiak, Victory, everybody who was in the comments earlier, man, really do appreciate it. I will see you again here later tonight. As always, y'all, go Broncos.